Do you know that the whole history of the Papacy and Catholic Church, from its rise to its fall, as well as its rebound into political power, are all foretold in Bible prophecy? Would you be surprised to know that the Bible also accurately foretold the simultaneous rise of the United States alongside the concurrent fall of the Papacy in the same prophecy? With pinpoint accuracy, these political and religious events were prophesied in the books of Daniel and the Revelation, affirming the divine and inspired source of the Bible. Let's start with the rise of the papacy and uprooting of three kingdoms in the year 538. The Bible predicted in Daniel 7, verse 8, "I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots." So, what do these symbols mean? The Bible explains these symbols in subsequent verses. In verses 23 to 25 of Daniel 7, it reads, "Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them. And he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time." Now let's explain the symbols from this text. The fourth beast is the fourth greatest empire or kingdom on earth, which is the Roman Empire. Why? Because the first greatest empire was the Neo-Babylonian Empire, represented as a lion, followed by the Medo-Persian Empire, represented by the bear, the Greek Empire, led by Alexander the Great, and represented as the leopard with 4 heads, because the Greek Empire was divided into 4 after the death of Alexander the Great, and the Roman Empire, represented by the dragon with iron claws and teeth and having 10 horns. Truly, the Roman Empire covered the then-known world and crushed all opposition and other kingdoms, just as stated in the prophecy that it shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. What about the 10 horns? The Bible itself explains what the 10 horns are, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. Indeed, historically, the Roman Empire, particularly the Western Roman Empire, was broken into 10 smaller kingdoms by the barbarian invasions. These 10 smaller kingdoms were the Vandals, now extinct, Heruli, also extinct, Visigoths, Suevi, Alemanni, Franks, Burgundians, Saxons, Ostrogoths, extinct as well, and Lombards. What about the little horn? The Bible reads, "And another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time." The little horn represents a rising power among 10 kingdoms, the divided Roman Empire, which uprooted 3 horns or kingdoms during its rise. It will be diverse from the 10 horns, slay the people of God, and try to change the times and laws of God. It shall have power for a time, which is 1 prophetic year, times, which is 2 prophetic years, and the dividing of time, which is half a prophetic year. How did this happen in history? Edward Gibbon, in his book, The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, discusses these events. The only power that destroyed 3 of these kingdoms, that is, Heruli in the year 493, Vandals in the year 534, and the Ostrogoths, defeated in the year 538, was the papal power that was both a political power and a religious power, ruler over the Catholic Church and the Western Roman Empire, headed by a religio-political authority called the Pope. The religio-political nature of this power made it different or diverse, in the Bible's language, from the other kingdoms. Why were these 3 kingdoms uprooted or destroyed by the papacy? These 3 kingdoms were Christians who believed in Arianism, the belief that Jesus was literally created by God the Father and subordinate to him, while the papacy thought another doctrine called the Nicene Creed, which states that Jesus was not created, but was equal and of the same essence and being as the Father. The controversy between the Arian doctrine and Nicene Creed, or Homoousianism, became belligerent and antagonistic until a council was called in Nicaea in 325 AD by Constantine to resolve it. At the Council of Nicaea, the Arian Creed or doctrine was condemned and banned, while the other teachings, called the Nicene Creed because of its acceptance at the Council of Nicaea, was accepted. However, some of the barbarian kingdoms continued to hold on to the Arian teachings. Therefore, the papacy sought help from Emperor Justinian, who sent his general Belisarius to destroy these three kingdoms that still held on to the Arian heresy. This prophecy was therefore fulfilled just as stated in the Bible in the year 538, when the last of the three Arian kingdoms were uprooted. Therefore, 538 marked the establishment of papal supremacy and the beginning of the papacy's influential role in European politics and religion. The whole of the Western Roman Empire fell under the dominion of the papacy. How did this rising power, known as the Little Horn, wear out and slay the saints of the Most High for a time and times and half a time? During papal supremacy, from AD 538 to 1798, the Waldensians faced severe persecution. Many fled to the Piedmont valleys where they were chased and thrown over the mountains to their death. John Milton's poem, On the Late Massacre in Piedmont, reflects on these tragedies. Heretics, those who did not conform to the papacy's teachings or doctrines, were burned. Numerous individuals were executed for opposing papal doctrines. When the British government became Protestant and non-Catholic, the Jesuits of the Catholic Church hired Guy Fawkes to bomb the English Parliament in what is commonly known and rhymed in England as the Gunpowder Plot. Bloody Mary, a Catholic monarch who ascended the British throne, killed many Protestants for their non-conformity to Catholic doctrines. Millions perished throughout Europe for heresy, including thousands of Jews through the Inquisition. J.A. Wiley's History of Protestantism details the Waldensians' plight. Jean-Henri Merle d'Aubigne's History of the Reformation documents the broader persecution. Therefore did this power fulfill this prophecy to persecute the saints of the Most High, Daniel 7:25. The little horn was also prophesied to change times and laws. How did the little horn change times and laws historically? One of the first laws of God that was changed by the papacy was the removal of the second commandment in Exodus 20:4-6, which states that, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them." The papacy removed this law from its catechism and doctrines because they allowed pagan statues into the church and Christianized them. They bowed down to images, burned incense to them, kissed them, and indeed worshiped them as saints and gods. They changed the fourth commandment, which is the seventh-day Sabbath, to the first day, which is Sunday. Today, almost all Christian churches follow this Catholic tradition of worshiping on Sunday instead of on the seventh-day Sabbath, as enjoined in the Bible. After removing the second commandment, they divided the 10th commandment into two to make up for the missing commandment. Finally, the calendar used in the Bible was changed to the Gregorian calendar, which is currently used by the whole world. Instead of the day starting from sunset and ending at sunset, as stated in Genesis 1 verses 5 to 31, it was made to start from 12 midnight to 12 midnight. Therefore did this little horn power of the papacy change God's law of 10 commandments and his time in the Bible. When and how did the papacy's power come to an end in Europe? In 1798, French General Louis-Alexandre Berthier under Napoleon Bonaparte entered Rome and took Pope Pius VI captive. This event effectively ended the papacy's temporal power. George Trevor's Rome and its papal rulers describes the event. Encyclopedia Britannica confirms the capture and its impact. The papacy's fall in 1798 marks the conclusion of the prophesied period. How did this power also fulfill the time prophecy of time, times, and dividing of time? A time equals 1 prophetic year, times equals 2 prophetic years, half a time equals half a prophetic year, total equals 3.5 prophetic years. Now let's do the prophetic year calculation. 1 prophetic year equals 360 days, 3.5 years equals 1,260 days. By applying the day-year principle, 1 prophetic day equals 1 literal year, as seen in Ezekiel 4:6 and Numbers 14:34, leading to 1,260 years. From the establishment of the papacy in AD 538 to AD 1798 equals 1,260 years. The 1,260-year period aligns precisely with the duration of papal dominance and persecution. This accurate and precise fulfillment of prophecy enhances the credibility of biblical predictions. It is interesting to note that this same little horn power is represented in Revelation chapter 13 verses 5 to 7. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, and tongues, and nations. In this prophecy in Revelation, the same characteristics of the little horn power in Daniel chapter 7 are reiterated, but with different words. For instance, 42 months is used instead of time, times, and dividing of time. Let's calculate the 42 months too, and see what we get. 42 months times 30 days for each month gives us 1,260 prophetic days or literal years. In Revelation chapter 12, the same time period under the same little horn, or papal power, is mentioned again in verse 6. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. This same event is reiterated under different words in verses 14 to 16 thus, And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth, and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. Notice that 1,260 prophetic days is used in Revelation chapter 12 verse 6. While a time and times and half a time is used in verse 14 to describe the same period and event, meaning that this 1,260 literal years is the same as the time, times, and half or dividing of time, or the 42 months used in Revelation and Daniel. These point to the same event of papal persecution of the saints of God who refused to follow Catholic teachings. In Daniel chapter 7 verse 26 it is stated that, But the court shall be seated, and they shall take away his dominion. While in Revelation chapter 13 verse 10 it reads that he who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. Precisely, the papal power that led millions into captivity for not keeping Catholic doctrine was also led into captivity by Napoleon Bonaparte. Revelation chapter 13 verse 1 describes this little horn as a beast rising from the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads. The 7 remaining kingdoms after 3 were uprooted. What is this beast, that is, a kingdom or empire, with 10 horns, that is, divided empire or kingdom into 10, from the sea? The sea represents a highly populated region. See Revelation chapter 17 verse 15 for the meaning of sea in prophecy, and demonstrates the papacy arising from the large populations of the divided Roman Empire's dominions and forming the Holy Roman Empire. Now note the order of the prophecy. This is where it gets even more interesting. Just after Revelation chapter 13 verse 10, when it was stated that he who leads into captivity shall go into captivity, Revelation chapter 13 verse 11 describes the rise of another power. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb. Now which political power was rising just after 1798 when the papacy's power was declining? Beast from the earth represents a new nation arising peacefully from where there was initially less populated land compared to Europe that was densely populated, whereas the papacy and the other beasts of Daniel chapter 7 rose from the sea, a densely populated area. This power rose from the earth, the opposite of the sea, meaning a sparsely populated area. The United States of America is the only nation that rose to power while the papacy was declining in 1798. The 2 horns like a lamb represents the 2 systems on which the U.S. government was founded on, that is, civil and religious liberty. The United States was founded in 1776, around the time the papacy received its deadly wound. She grew rapidly in power and influence. established a separation of church and state, contrary to other parts of the world where monarchies reigned and religion were enforced by the state. The USA emphasized on freedom and democracy. America's rise to a world power fulfills the prophecy. Revelation chapter 13 verse 3 further stated, "And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed." The capturing of the papacy in 1798 was a deadly blow to it as it lost its temporal power and dominions. However, in AD 1929, this wound was healed again through the signing of the Lateran Treaty, which was signed between the Holy See and Italy. This treaty recognized the Vatican City as an independent state, effectively restoring the power and political status of the papacy. The New York Times, February 11, 1929, reported it thus, "Heel wound of many years." Encyclopedia Britannica discusses the significance of the treaty. The restoration aligns with the prophecy of the wound being healed, and current events show that the papacy continues to play a significant role in world affairs. These prophecies, and their historical alignments, from the rise and fall of the papacy, the concurrent rise of America as a world superpower, and the subsequent restoration of the papacy's political power, all attest to the validity and divine source of the Bible. A book invented by men cannot produce such accurate predictions over thousands of years with pinpoint accuracy.